Josh, would you accept me as your father? A lonely, dying billionaire asked a hungry little girl, and with tears in her eyes, she said something unexpected. The ticking of the wall clock echoed through the empty corridors of the mansion, a sound Owen Faulkner rarely noticed. But that morning it seemed louder, as if counting down every second of his life. Owen adjusted his navy blue tie in front of the mirror. His reflection showed a 45-year-old man with graying hair at his temples and grey eyes that rarely smiled. There was nothing extraordinary about his appearance to betray his billions in fortune. He preferred it that way, discreet, almost invisible, despite the empire he had built. "Sir, the driver is waiting," said Martha, his housekeeper, the only voice besides his own that echoed in that enormous house. "Thank you," Owen replied, without looking at her. The annual medical checkup was just a formality. Owen couldn't remember the last time he'd been sick. His body, like his businesses, operated with Swiss precision. As the car glided through the city streets, he answered emails, made calls, and moved millions, with a few taps on his phone screen. The world outside was merely a moving backdrop through the tinted window. Dr. Harris's office had the soft scent of wood and old books. Owen sat in the leather chair, as he had for the past 15 years. The doctor, now with white strands in his beard, reviewed the tests with an expression Owen had never seen before. "Owen, how have you been feeling lately?" "Normal. Busy as always." "Any shortness of breath? Unusual fatigue?" Owen hesitated for a moment, perhaps after climbing stairs. "But nothing a man my age wouldn't expect." The doctor nodded, placing the papers on the desk. "We found something in your tests. Your heart is—" Dr. Harris paused, choosing his words carefully, "showing a condition that wasn't present last year." "What condition?" Owen's voice remained calm, as if discussing a simple business transaction. "Severe hypertrophic cardiomyopathy with complications. It's rare for it to develop so rapidly, but—" The doctor adjusted his glasses, uncomfortable with what he had to say. "The prognosis isn't favorable, Owen." Owen blinked once, then again. The words floated before him, not quite sinking in. How long?" The question came out automatically, as if from someone else. "Without a transplant, perhaps 6 months, a year, being optimistic." The doctor continued speaking. Treatments, medications, remote possibilities. But Owen no longer listened. His brain, so agile at calculating risks and opportunities in business, now seemed frozen, unable to process the only thing he could never buy: more time. "I'll request your inclusion on the transplant list immediately. But I need to be honest. With your age and the rarity of compatible donors—" "I understand," Owen cut him off. "Jane, what are the next steps?" He listened to the instructions, noted down the names of medications on his phone, and scheduled follow-up exams, all with the same cold efficiency he conducted business meetings. Only later, already in the car, did he feel the first tremor in his hands. The driver asked if he was all right. Owen merely nodded, looking out the window at the people on the sidewalk, all walking, running, living without knowing how much time they had left. Perhaps it was better that way. His phone vibrated. It was his assistant, reminding him of the investor meeting. Owen cancelled with a brief message. For the first time in decades, the numbers in his bank account seemed utterly irrelevant. When the car stopped in front of the mansion, he asked the driver to drop him at the entrance. He wanted to walk a bit through the garden. The autumn flowers swayed in the breeze, indifferent to the fact that their owner had just discovered his finitude. Owen unlocked the front door. Silence greeted him as it always did. He took off his shoes, left his jacket on the sofa. His footsteps echoed on the marble floor as he walked to the kitchen for a glass of water. The house was so large that his voice, if he screamed, would echo. There was no one to hear anyway. In the living room, he paused before the wall filled with awards, certificates, and photos with celebrities and politicians. Evidence of what the world called success. No family photos. No faces smiling because of him, not for what he could offer. He poured himself a whiskey and walked out to the veranda overlooking the gardens. The sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. Owen tried to remember the last time he had truly watched a sunset. He couldn't. The diagnosis finally began to settle in his mind. It wasn't the fear of death that bothered him, he realized. It was the fact that his absence from this world would go virtually unnoticed. The newspapers would report it, of course. The financial market would feel a momentary shock. There would be a funeral with many important people saying important things about a man they barely knew. And then, nothing. Owen took a sip of his drink, feeling the warmth spread down his throat. He had spent his entire life building an empire and had completely forgotten to build a life. The phone rang inside the house. Probably work matters. Owen didn't move to answer it. Instead, he stood there, watching the first stars appear in the sky, wondering if there was still time for something more than simply existing. 6 months, perhaps a year. What does a man who has everything but time do with the days he has left? The answer didn't come. Only the silence of the empty mansion and the growing weight of loneliness that now, finally, he allowed himself to feel. Owen walked aimlessly through the city's dark streets. The October chill pierced his expensive coat as if it were made of paper. He barely noticed. His thoughts were too heavy with the doctor's words echoing in his mind. 6 months. A year, being optimistic. The diagnosis had changed everything and nothing at the same time. Life continued around him, cars passing, hurried people returning home, lights flickering in shop windows. But now, every moment seemed marked by an invisible clock. What's the point of all this money, he thought, passing a closed jewelry store window, billions in bank accounts, properties on 3 continents, and no one to share it with, no one who truly cared if he lived or died. Unbeknownst to him, Owen had drifted away from his upscale neighborhood. The streets were now narrower, the buildings older, the lights dimmer. At another time in his life, he would have felt uncomfortable, perhaps even vulnerable. Now, with death lurking, none of that mattered. That's when he saw her. In the gap between 2 closed commercial buildings, a small figure rummaged through trash cans. A little girl, no more than 5 years old, in a thin, torn coat, scoured discarded scraps for food. Her dark hair was tangled and dirty. Even in the dim light, Owen could see she was shivering in the cold night air. Something about that scene paralyzed him. The girl was completely alone. No adults nearby, no supervision, just a child struggling to survive in a cold, indifferent world, like him. The realization hit him with surprising force. He, a billionaire with mansions in 3 countries, and she, a child rummaging through trash, both equally solitary, both with no one who truly cared. Without thinking, Owen took a step toward the alley. The sound of his shoe on the asphalt startled the girl, who turned around abruptly. Their eyes met, his tired and empty, hers frightened and suspicious. Owen stopped, raising his hand slightly to show he meant no harm. Something inside him stirred, an impulse that came from a place he didn't even know existed. Before he could analyze or think about the consequences, the words came out, "Would you accept me as your father?" The question hung in the cold night air, as unexpected to Owen as it surely was to the girl. She tilted her head.